Welcome to the Copper King Mine and Railroad. Today we're going to talk about the Confluence, where the road split off to go up to Highland Boy or up to Copperfield. So stay tuned. The Confluence, or the fork in the road. This beautiful picture epitomizes the town of Bingham around the 1950s. This picture has a certain feel. You can lose yourself in it. This photo was taken at the confluence, or fork, where the canyon split off Main Street, right up to Car Fork Canyon, that's the Highland Boy area, and left up to Upper Bingham, later will be named Copperfield. It could be considered as the heart of Bingham, with the veins running to the smaller communities around it. The buildings and businesses around this spot would become landmarks that everyone knew. Let's take a detailed look at this place and show you what made this spot so famous. Here's a map that shows that spot. What anchored this place was the Bingham Mercantile Store. It was on the corner of Main and Car Fork, also known as the Bingham Merc, or the Big Store. Everyone knew this store. Many did their shopping here. This was the location you waited for a ride up or down the canyon. Just say, "Meet me at the Bingham Merc." It was a gathering place. People gave speeches. Bands played. Abbott and Costello, Shirley Temple sold war bonds here. You could buy almost anything you wanted in this store. It opened for business at this location October 1904. It was demolished January 18, 1958. Let's go back in time and look at this corner before the big store came. The Griffin House was here. What a great shot looking up Car Fork Canyon. The next picture shows the canyon more developed. The Griffin House is gone, maybe just before construction of the Bingham Merc. The 1929 Stan Bourne fire insurance map shows the layout of the Bingham Mercantile Store and the businesses around it. Across the street from the Bingham Merc was the City Hall building. Look at some of these pictures of this iconic building. This 1939 photo with a fire truck in front of it. The jail was in the back. It had a reddish colored brick. Here's some nice colored pictures of that City Hall. This building was around for a long time. It was one of the last buildings in the canyon to go. The buildings to the right of the City Hall was torn down in 1937 to make way for the new Copperfield Tunnel. This photo shows the destruction of those buildings. Then a picture of the tunnel construction. This spot will remain open so that the cars can line up here to wait for the signal light for their turn into the one-way tunnel. The next two buildings to the left of City Hall, now it was a few different things over the years. First building, the 1907 Stamboard map, said it was a restaurant. The 1913 and 1929 map said it was a saloon. It would become the Bingham Stage Lines. Here's some pictures of it when it was the Bingham Stage Line. Next was the S.J. Hayes building, maybe men's clothing. One later sign says Taggery, or clothing. The next building is easy. That was the Bingham State Bank. It was the first bank in Bingham in 1903. The name changed in 1929 to the First Security Bank, and then later on it would become the Bingham Museum. The next large building shown in the Stamford maps, 1907, 1913, and 1929, all show it as a dance hall. Later, it will become the Union Hall. That change must have come around the late 1940s, when the unions finally came to the open pit mine. At the end, it will become the Tourist Center. Then the Diamond Inn. Here's a good photo of that, and it's to the right. And then just the corner of it, right again. Then a nice colored picture of that Diamond Inn. Now we need to cross the street to the corner of Main and Car Fork. This was the home of the Copper King Bar and the Vienna Cafe. Here's an older picture looking down the canyon to that Copper King Bar and the Vienna Cafe. Then a couple pictures looking up the canyon. The first one is early 1900s. The next one was taken in 1918. This is where the road forked and went up to Car Fork Canyon to the Highland Point area. This was a busy traffic place, especially around shift change. Note the police officer directing traffic. Then another photo with Ross Marriott directing traffic. Just up the street a short ways was the Gimbal Club and the vertical tram that went up to B&G Yard. At one time, the railroad line had passengers. The tram brought the people down to street level of the town. Let's look at some of the pictures of the confluence. Now this one is looking down Car Fork, and it's right next to the Bingham to the right. Look how narrow the street is here. A beautiful colored picture of that same spot, but just a bit up. Bingham to the right, and then down across Main Street is the Union Hall and the Diamond Inn. The next picture is even closer to the fork. Men are visiting in front of the Diamond Inn. I like the girls' red coats. This 1914 picture shows the Bingham to the left with its awning out. Two women are standing in front of the Butte Bar and Cafe. Note the cars and horse and buggies both on Main Street at the same time. The next picture was taken around the same spot, but now the year is 1940. Then we have a picture of them celebrating the first Galena days, and that was in 1939. And they're right in front of the Bingham Mercantile Store. Here's a picture of the end of World War II. Now they're in front of the Union Hall and the bank. That would be 1945. Here's a colorized postcard looking down the canyon. City Hall is to the right, Bingham to the left. This photo, the Bingham Mercantile, is gone. It will be the beginning of the end of Bingham. Now the heart is gone. Wonderful color picture shows the confluence, now without the big store. It's just a parking lot now. The 1912 Edison movie shows that location, well, just for a moment. First looking down on that spot, and then a street level. Note the Copper King Bar and Vienna Cafe. Now we just had a video on this short movie clip. You might want to check it out. Much later movie clip from the Desert Empire shows a car moving up the canyon. Then he makes the right turn up Car Fork. He's passing right next to the Bingham Mercantile. Then they flash back down to the same spot. Now it's full of traffic. Note the Pastime Bar right there to the left. Then we have some marvelous color pictures of Bingham in that area in the late 1950s. It was near the end. Look at this amazing black and white picture on that corner where we began. The Pastime Bar, that large ring down the street. Then back to our wonderful color picture from the start. This picture was so inspirational that my friend Joe Lugo's wife painted it. She did a great rendition of it. So that's the confluence or the fork where Bingham Canyon split.